Back in Power BI, and in today's video we are going to show you how to do some date formatting with Dax, creating columns and starting to build out a date calendar that is more robust. Now you can follow along in the description below. There is going to be a link to a file, the AdventureWorks database file, and this does include a starting date calendar. So if you're new to Power BI and new to Dax, you can just join right in. We're going to start with some of the basics, then we're going to go to some of the more intermediate columns building that you can do, building out this date calendar. Remember, having a robust date calendar is going to be important for building out some date and time intelligence. So let's get to work in Power BI and do some date formatting in Power BI. Back in Power BI, we continue to learn Dax, and we are going to build out a date table today in this video that you can use to extract date and time intelligence information. We are going to work with the AdventureWorks database 2020 file. There is going to be a link in the description below. You can download the file, follow along. What I like about this file is it already has a built-in model, and the model is set up as sales as your fact table. Then we have sales orders, product, date, and customer set up as your lookup tables. In this table, we do have a date table. If you select the date table and go to the table view, you will see the current columns in this file that you can download. We have date key, date, fiscal year, fiscal quarter, month, month key, full date, and month number of year. What we are going to do is build this out using Dax so that we can have even more data analysis. The first thing we are going to do is create a new column, and this is going to be calendar year. We are in the date table, and we're going to name it calendar year. It's going to be equal. Now hit Shift Enter. That will get you a new line, and we're going to format this out for Dax. What we are going to look for is the year function. The year function requires a date. That is all it needs. And what we are going to do is bring up the date table, and the date table has a column called date, and that is the date. You close it out with the right parentheses, and now we will have the calendar year in this new column. 2019, 2017, 2018, 20, and 21 are the years. So now we could filter by those years, and before we had this column, we were unable to filter. Now that we have the calendar year, we are going to create the month name, and the month name is going to be a new column. We're going to call it month name, and it's going to be equal to the format. And from the format, what this requires is if you hit the bracket, you are going to get the date. Then you are going to select the format, which we want MMMM in all caps inside quotations. Now we close it out, and we have the month name in our new column. And these are going to be continuing to build out our date table. The next column we are going to build is going to be the month name abbreviation. Building out the ultimate date table inside Power BI. We've already built out a calendar year and the month name. Now we're going to work on the month number abbreviation. And let's get to work. We're going to create a new column, and the month number abbreviation is going to be the name. And this one is going to be similar to the other ones. We're still going to use Dax to do some formatting, but the month number abbreviation is going to be the format. Then we're going to bring in the left bracket, and we're going to use the date. And this time, for the format, we want, rather than the full month name, we want a 3-letter name. So we're going to use the quotes, which is going to be 3 M's for month, quote, close it out with the right parentheses, and now you'll have a new column, because sometimes on different pivot tables and different, when you're taking apart the data and starting to putting it in different measures, you may want that month number abbreviated rather than the entire month. You're going to want it as a month number abbreviation. Next, let's continue along with date formatting. We are going to work with a month and year abbreviation. So now we may want to filter by month and year, and we may want to have an abbreviation. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to hit Shift Enter. Then we're going to have it equal. If you bring up the left bracket, all of your different columns in this table. So we want the month number abbreviation that we just created. Next, we're going to hit the and symbol. We're going to use quotes, put a space, and then another quote. Then we're going to bring in the and then if you hit the left bracket, that'll bring up all of your columns in this table. Now we want to bring in the calendar year that we just created, year. So we've created 4 new columns. The month number of the year was already in the data table, and now we've added the calendar year, the month name, the month number abbreviation, and the month and year abbreviation. Building out the ultimate date calendar, we're working on the date file in the AdventureWorks file, and now we've already built out 4 columns. Now we're going to start working on some quarters because we may want to analyze our data by the first quarter, second quarter. Let's take a look at how to do that. The first one is going to use the Dax function roundup, and you may not be familiar with it. You know the drill. We're going to start off with a new column, and the new column, we are going to call this quarter number. And the formula is going to be a roundup. You have some different roundup functions. And roundup, if you've never used it, it requires a number and then the number of digits. So what we want to do is round up. We want to round up from the month, and then we want to use the date column. By using the left bracket, brings up all of your columns in the table. You'll choose date, and then from the date, you'll just close that out. You'll hit the IntelliSense will ask you for the number of digits. We're going to divide that by 3. Then we're going to use a 0, and that is going to bring us the quarter number. So the quarter number uses that roundup function. And if you notice, when you use the drill down, you're going to see Q1, 2, 3, and 4 because there's 4 quarters in the year. So that is the quarter number. Now we're going to make out the quarter name, and we're going to use Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 as our quarter names. But if we choose the new column function, we can do that by creating a standard Q and then adding in the quarter number behind that. So the quarter name is going to be equal to, we're going to bring in the quarter, and we're going to round up, and then this is where you're going to bring in the month function again. Then you're going to bring in the date from the date table. We're going to close that out. Now you want to divide by 3, bring back the 0 for the number of digits. Now you have the close it out with the right parentheses, and now you'll have the quarter name, which is going to be Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. Now, if we want to add a space between that, we could go back to the quarter, and right after the R, we can add a space, and if you hit enter, that'll put a space between the quarter and the number. So if you want the space, add a space. If you would rather just have it as Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4, it's easier to read with the space. Now, the third quarter column we're going to add is the quarter abbreviation. And the quarter abbreviation, you guessed it, it's going to start off with a new column, and we are going to work with the quarter abbreviation as the name. And from here, it's going to be equal to We're going to use the Q symbol as the quarter. Then we're going to bring in the and roundup. So now we're going to bring in the roundup function again. And from the roundup, we want the month, because we're rounding up from the month. There's 12 months in a year. Then we want to bring in from the date table, the date function. And from there, we're going to close it out. Use the divide by 3. Now this is where we left off the last time. Now we're going to add to this. Now we're just going to bring in the and, then we're going to use the quote, space, quote, and from there, we're going to bring in the and then the year. So from the year, that's going to ask for the date. So now we're going to close this out, and we're going to have the Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 as the quarter and the year abbreviation. So now we've got quarter 3, 2019, and we have all of the different quarters, Q1 through Q4, 2017 through 2021. We just created the quarter abbreviation, but this actually is the quarter and year. So we're going to update our measure name. So we're going to call this quarter year. So because it's got Q3, Q2, Q1, and then followed by the year after that. So the next thing we're going to build out is some of our day functions. Remember, you can download the AdventureWorks file in the description below. We're building out a date calendar. Remember, with date tables, you're going to be able to use your time intelligence functions. And I do have a video on beginner's guide to time intelligence and date and time Dax functions. Let's continue along. Now we're going to build out a new column. And this new column is going to be day number. What we want to extract is the day of the week, and there's up to 31. For the months that have 31, there's 31. For the months with 30, there's 30. So the formula is a pretty simple one. This one, all it requires is the day, and when you bring up the day IntelliSense, all it asks for is a date. So with that, all we need is the date table, and then we use the date. You close it out with the right parentheses. And again, this number will be between 1 and 31. Now we're going to do the month, day, year. So we're going to create a new column. And with this new column, we're going to call it month, day, year. And the Dax syntax is going to be a format. Then we want to choose the date. So from the left bracket, that'll bring up all of our columns in the current table. We want to choose date. Then from there, we want to close that out with a comma. Then we want to bring in what do we actually want to format. So we want month, day, and year. So we've chosen the date. Now we want to bring in the quotations. And we want MMM, DD, and then we want lowercase y for the 4 years. And then we're going to close out the quote, and now we close out the quotation on the right parentheses. So now we're going to have a month, day, and year, and you'll see that we have the month as 3 letters. Then we have the day as between 1 and 31. And then we have the year. And this could come in handy if you do some charts that want to use a time series element. The next one is the day of the week name. So we're going to choose the new column. It's going to be day of week name is going to be the name of the column. And this one is just going to be the format. And we're going to choose, with the left bracket, we're going to choose the date column. And from the date column, we're just going to format it as DDDD. So that'll bring up the date, and the new column is going to be the weekday name. So we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the 7 days of the week. It has to be one of those days. And again, the format function, all it requires is one input. which is the date. And then we choose, so we choose the column, then we choose how we want to format because we're choosing the format, then we choose the date, then we choose the formatting. So the next column after the day of week name is going to be the day of week abbreviation. So if we want to abbreviate that, we're going to name the column day of week abbreviation. Then we're going to use the format. And rather than having Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday written out, we're going to format as a shorter format. So it's going to require the date again, which it never changes for any of these. We're always using the date from the date calendar. Now we just need to add the formatting, and it's going to be quotations, and 3 characters get you the day of the week abbreviation. And this is going to be your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but all of these will be 3 letters for each of the 7 days of the week. So that is the day of a week abbreviation. The next thing is the day of the week number. Maybe we want to use 1 through 7 as our day of the week number. So now we're going to create a new column, and this is going to be the day of week number. And we're going to use the weekday, and from the weekday, we're going to bring in a left quotation, a left bracket. That'll choose the date. And from the date, we're just going to use 1, 2, or 3. So 1 starts with Sunday as the first day of the week, 2 starts with Monday, and then you have the option of 3. And so we're going to choose the option number 2, but this could be whichever one you want to use. And you close it out with the right parentheses. And now you'll see Monday is a 1. Day of week number is 1. If we choose back here, if we choose a 1, now it'll be registered as a 2 because Sunday is a 1. So Sunday is a 1. Then if we go back to our third option, we could choose 3, and now Monday is a 0. And then the other days of the week are 0 through 6. So depending on the day of the week that you want to start, that is where you choose the 1 through 3. So we're going to go back and choose 2 because we want Monday to be the first day of the week, and Sunday is going to be the 7th day of the week. And that is building out the day functions. We use some of the different formatting. Another one you may want to use is a week ending function. You may want to know what week of the year if you're doing year over year time intelligence. So you would build a new column and you would choose week ending. And for the week ending, all it requires is a left bracket. Then you're going to choose the date. Then from the date, you're going to choose a plus. Then this is where you're going to choose the 7 minus, and we're going to use an existing column that we just created. So when we go left bracket, we're going to choose that day of week number. That day of week number that we created. So now we're going to have the week ending just by closing that out with a right parenthesis. So this will bring up the day of the week, and that is going to be the ending of the week. Now it defaults to a date time. So if you want to know just the ending date of that week, because you're rotating it by 7 days, you can choose from the formatting option. You just choose date rather than date time. So now it's going to be formatted as Sunday, July 7th for these first 7. Then the next group of 7 is going to be Sunday, July 14th. All of those end on Sunday, July 14th. And so you're going to have 52 weeks for the week ending. And that is how you build out a week ending. And the final one we're going to do is the week of the year. You may want to know the week of the year. And for this one, we're going to choose the week number function, and it's going to look like this: week of year. And we're going to hit Shift Enter. Then we're going to use the week number function. The week number function asks for a date and then a return type. So the week number function is going to be just left bracket. We choose our date, and then we're just going to close it out with the parentheses. And now we have our week of the year. So in just a matter of minutes, you have a combination of up to 52 weeks of the week number of the year. So as you can see, you can build out a fully functioning date calendar for your date analysis and to use for your time intelligence in just a matter of minutes. We did this in 20 minutes, and you may not need all of these columns, but by learning the different formats for roundup and using weekday and using the format function with that date, you can start to learn your DAX, because you're going to want to get a date calendar that you're going to want to use on multiple files. So learning how to use these date functions and build out the formulas is going to help you with your DAX. So you may want to watch for your next video is an introduction to time and date tables. And we also have an introduction to pivot tables as you continue to learn DAX. If you have any questions on some of these formulas, remember, stop the video, and remember, you can leave a question in the comments, and also download the file in the description below. It is the AdventureWorks file. And now we've built out all of these different columns using these date and time table functions with DAX in Power BI.